Welcome to a special four-parter episode of the Krusty Kast. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. We've sort of fallen off schedule, so we're Sakala's packing pests from Rhythm Heaven Fever the way we're doubling up.
Didn't you
I
make that
also
joke on Twitter?
no
I
middle
did.
segment.
And I'm making it again. Yeah, no middle segment. Middle segment is dead this week. We'll
I
do
mean,
necromancy on it.
The
next
middle
time.
segment is the chaperone.
True.
True. So true.
The world's first
Yeah.
mid segment.
Yeah. So,
Who's in this
SpongeBob.
episode?
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
Are we
You
gonna
mean
introduce ourselves?
MuscleBob?
Yeah, we
Oh,
typically around this point we tell them who we are.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, I'm Jasmine. It's been a
so
while
long.
since we've recorded.
We've forgotten what a podcast is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not changing our name to the MuscleBob cast. I'm sorry.
I'm Maddie. We are running the MuscleBob cast now.
Do I say my name now?
Sure, go
You
ahead.
could.
Why are you?
Yeah.
Why is there a beast on screen? Why did you let a beast into the restaurant?
We'll
a
let
cute
this
beast.
beast in. We'll let this
Yeah.
beast in, but the guy outside we won't ever let in.
Oh yeah, he's
Fuck you,
always gonna
Scooter.
be there.
I'm Gwen. I'm Gwen. I use any
Yeah.
pronouns, and I'm a catfish.
I'm
This-
Jasmine. I'm the cuddlefish on the left. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Maddie.
I'm
Yeah.
Randall. I'm like Grusha. I'm he, him.
Yeah.
True. Okay, now since it's a
So
double episode,
true.
we all have to introduce ourselves again.
I think we
Okay,
already
sounds
did.
Okay. Well, today we're going to talk about MuscleBob and a few episodes that aren't as muscle-filled as MuscleBob.
hmm
But they are in spirit. They've got their own quirks to them. Okay, so how does this one start off?
It starts off with SpongeBob flexing in front of the mirror, and he's going to do his famous SpongeBob running gag where he works out, but his weights are actually stuffed animals.
Mhm.
So they shouldn't actually be that heavy, but he acts like they are because, you see, the thing is that SpongeBob is actually pretty weak.
Yeah.
The episode doesn't tell you this, but SpongeBob's pretty scrawny and he can't lift things very well.
Am I the only one? I think so. Like, this is a fundamental flaw of this episode. Am I the only one who just thinks that like SpongeBob not being able to lift things running gag is so like not funny?
It's gotten
it's-
very not
this whole-
funny.
This whole episode, it's just 11 minutes of that one joke.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just not a very like rich source of humor to me, and they just kind of like use it with like, wouldn't it be funny if he tried lifting up something that was light, but he acted like it was heavy?
Hmm.
Also, SpongeBob must have like sold his weightlifting room or something because he's just doing this in his living room now.
Yeah.
The pants room
Except-
dimension is fading from existence as we
He, like,
speak.
He like rents it out. I mean, sold it.
Well,
I
you
think
know.
that the weightlifting it returns in season 6, I know.
Weightlifting
So
room
he
returns.
bought a new weightlifting room, I guess.
Yeah.
All those rooms just going missing in his house.
So anyway, Sandy shows up to emasculate SpongeBob
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
with her realistic muscle cut-in image.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
I, go ahead.
you go first.
I was just gonna say the really bony armed SpongeBob is one of the most like distressing things of imagery in this show, and I don't like it.
Is a little off-putting. Also, we've talked about a little bit before the episode how muscle sandy hair really awoken something in some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode, if nothing else, was a bit of an awakening for a bit of the generation.
I'll say.
Also, you should put Skeletal Bob on screen because Randall talked about it. And if
Yeah.
we're doing
Where?
visual aid, we should put the visual
Oh,
aid we
there we
talked
go.
about on screen.
There it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't find it. I assumed it was the. There we go.
But while SpongeBob is being humiliated right now, he has a little bit of a fantasy about himself being jacked, where he
Yeah.
becomes Fortnite SpongeBob, where he's proportionally able to be in the video game Fortnite.
Yeah.
And he has nipples in a
He does
Speedo.
have
Yeah.
nipples in a
He has
Speedo.
nipples.
Even in his fantasy, we get a fucking SpongeBob bedroom sequence. We can't escape them.
This is all he like dreams about.
God, I hate this shot of like him and the Krusty Krab. Oh,
His nipples are pink.
we're gonna get
Oh,
demonetized.
ew, they are.
Do you think they feel like human flesh or what? God, this is
God,
such a
the
distressing.
tie.
It's so like I don't even know. The tie really makes it feel like sexual.
Yeah.
They could have given him like clothes, but they had to make him look like this.
This is like the story of the one writer on Fairly Odd Parents who's really into like muscle drawings.
God.
Anyway, Sandy goes to train SpongeBob, and we get like a series of mid jokes of SpongeBob being weak.
Yeah.
And all of them have him lose his arms. That is the tertiary running gag of this episode, is just that happens often.
Yeah, I will say this is like the first episode I think I really like Sandy in. I think this episode is the first one that really like nails her character, where she's sort of like the voice of like reason to SpongeBob, but at the same time she's like way too like rough and tumble and like not realizing how overboard she's going and how much she's hurting SpongeBob.
Yeah, I think this is the first episode where Sandy feels like fully in line with how she would be later.
Yeah, it's a very well developed Sandy, and not just because of her realistic muscles.
Yeah.
Anyway, SpongeBob gets
I do
tortured a bit,
kinda-
but then he gives up when he sees the arm cruncher.
The arm cruncher, great.
I
It's-
have to. I mean, obviously it crunches your arms, but how does this help you become stronger?
Does Sandy use this often?
Why would she have it?
I
This,
don't know.
this is look. It's such a like I don't know. It's such a stupid thing. It's such a stupid prop.
Oh, this is a really good Gary frame. He's so worried.
I love this guy. This guy face is like my
What
favorite
the fuck?
joke in the episode. He's so like scared. He's like so distressed, and he's it's like a look of like raw emotion we don't get from Gary.
What if your cat just looked at you like that? How would you feel?
Oh, yeah, SpongeBob's in bed and he's feeling worn out, and his arms are pulsating. In his conveniently placed TV, he sees this like awful-looking shark man with tiny arms.
Yeah, this is another bedroom scene because they have to fill a quota. This could have just taken place in the living room. Why is it in his bed?
I don't like how this shark guy looks.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
it's so
tiny-
weird because like he has the shredded abs and pecs, but his arms are so flimsy.
Yeah,
And
he,
did they have
it-
to like?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay,
Mm.
did they like have to specifically find someone with that exact body type, the hawk anchor arms?
at the very least, like this guy's a memorable one-off because he's the I was a whip before anchor arms, but now I'm a jerk guy.
I think he's the
Yeah.
reason there's not a lot of shark incidentals in the show because they just look weird.
Yeah.
It's
An
just- he
interesting thing
demonstrates
is like
it.
they have a completely different shark salesman character they've been using a lot in recent episodes, which is weird because you think they'd just bring back this guy, but I don't know, maybe he just looks too weird.
I have in my notes. Ask Jasmine if this guy comes back.
I know for sure
Nah,
that like
he's been replaced. He isn't needed anymore.
I know for
Yeah.
sure the wimp shark design comes back.
Yeah,
it
yeah, the
Mhm.
wimp shark design does come back.
this guy's just another Doug Lawrence doing his aggro guy voice.
Yeah, incredibly Doug Lawrence character. SpongeBob's like, I should get these anchor arms, and Gary makes more like fucking faces at him. He's a
I do think now I'm a jerk and everybody loves
Oh.
me as an all-timer line, though.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah.
so like distressed by Gary that I
Yeah.
exploded.
I like
And
Squidward's
then
arm here.
uh, I do like that this episode sneaks in Squidward and Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
just
just
barely
like
sliding them under the door.
it expands the scope a little bit. I don't know for what reason.
Why is
Squidward
he
isn't
doing
enjoying his
this?
popsicle.
Let's talk about Squidward's treat, actually. I like how when Squidward appears and
Oh,
he has
yeah.
his, like, he's having such a good time with that popsicle.
Yeah.
He
It
loves
really
it.
is.
This is probably, like, the singular happiest Squidward episode, just, like, by volume.
Yeah, he shows up, nothing bad happens to him. He doesn't
Yeah.
get mauled by animals at the end like at the end of Fun. He just gets to enjoy his treat, be weirded out by SpongeBob's gross arms.
Yeah, we have Mr. Krabs sweeping the dirt, which is also...
They look so pleasant. They look so joyful. But then their optimism is gone. This says a lot about the world.
I'll say.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we go to Muscle Beach and we see a lot of weird muscle guys, many of which we don't see again, but some of which become staples of muscle guys.
Yeah.
Shout out so much to Buff Goldfish Incidental. I love him a lot.
I love him and his funny face.
Polycule.
It's just constant look of like confusion.
God.
Anyway, we get another. Oh, wait, you go first.
Yeah, with this guy, there is a creature. I don't know why I'm saying creature, but in the
An entity.
Krabby Quest game, the PC game, there is a guy like this, but he's blue. Let me hold on. Quest.
I feel like they do that a lot with these incidentals. Like, they'll just have the same model, but they'll like recolor them to be like a different character.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, just you wait for the chaperone.
Oh my god.
They blew
You're right,
him.
this is a creature.
That is a creature, yeah.
Yeah. He goes, hey, and he runs at you.
As one would do, frankly.
Yeah.
A weird SpongeBob enemy?
Oh.
No way.
So we get SpongeBob, and we get like a minute of mediocre flexing jokes.
Yeah.
Really?
The problem throughout this episode is every scene is just like a series of the same joke kind of repeated, and it isn't a very funny joke.
I do like the thank you image
Yeah.
because it's disgusting. Like disgusting. Like
Yeah.
there are 3 jokes in this episode. SpongeBob is weak, SpongeBob does gross things with his new muscles, and SpongeBob loses his arms. That is the 3 things in this entire episode.
And the
Mhm.
instant replay.
Oh yeah, they
Of
milk
course.
that joke too. And then okay, so we go to the juice bar. And we get Darling Boy Scooter's second appearance.
I love Scooter. I miss him.
I
Oh,
love this scene.
too.
Sandy walks up to him. He's like, "Have you seen SpongeBob?" And he's like, "You mean MuscleBob Buffpants?" And Sandy's just like, whatever. Thanks."
Cinema Sin's voice roll credit.
I just love how like pissed off Sandy is that he just said some stupid shit. She doesn't know what it means. She's just
okay.
like, whatever.
We've
Thanks.
got canonical proof that Scooter is friends with disgusting, horrible glasses fish head incidental.
Yeah, that's also. They're all just kind of chilling. God, I've always happened to see Scooter, and this like little exchange between Sandy and him just drives me insane.
And that's the weird thing
Crockfish.
about Scooter is like he's an incidental character, but in every one of his appearances, they keep his like voice and personality really consistent.
Yeah, it feels like they could have made him like a tertiary guy like Larry.
Yeah.
I love Scooter.
I wish he stuck. I wish he stuck around.
Maybe he'll come back.
There's always time with how much they reference season 1 now.
We'll see.
Yeah, they need to do the Scooter spotlight episode.
Scooter word coming in season 15.
Squidward.
Word.
This is also like the second Larry appearance, but he doesn't really do anything here. He's just kind of a head in the very muscular crowd.
I feel like Larry being here, that SpongeBob still has like a grudge against him because he's like insulting him here in a bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But we'll get there here in a sec. We're in the juice bar, and SpongeBob is regaling all of the muscular men in the crowd about how cool his muscles are.
I love in this scene we have like Tom as the like bartender, but he has like a really fruity shirt on. I love his fit
Yeah,
here.
I love this Tom shirt. I
Yeah.
was about to mention
He's so nice.
this. Is so,
That should just be his style going
Yeah.
forward. He wears it so well.
he rocks it. Yeah.
He's so like kind. He's like constantly smiling this whole time.
He's happy because he has his awesome floral print button-up shirt.
Yeah.
He's happy because he knows he'll be SpongeBob's undoing.
We also get beloved gag character fit check here.
Crockfish. Sand whatever.
Yeah, we discussed this in the pre-show that this guy is here with his muscular boyfriend, and he
Yeah.
doesn't deserve to be insulted by SpongeBob. And this is when
Going
this is
on
what-
Tumblr to call him a precious cinnamon roll. Too good for this world. Too pure.
God.
He's such a little thing.
And then Tom puts down SpongeBob's drink, to which we get a hilarious extended sequence where SpongeBob can't lift glasses of juice.
Yeah, this joke's also like pissed me off as a kid because like I've seen SpongeBob like lift a spatula and stuff. I cannot. It breaks my immersion to think that he can't lift a juice.
Yeah.
It's just such a nonsense joke that isn't like funny at all, so it doesn't justify it not making any logical sense.
Oh, yeah, and then Sandy enters the scene, and she's, like, really impressed by SpongeBob. She's like, wow, you got, like, really buff in an afternoon. What's your secret? And SpongeBob doesn't have a secret.
Oh, he has a secret, but he doesn't want to tell, so instead he starts armpit farting to distract them. Like, he says, he's like, this is what I do, and Larry's like, are you joking? And all the buff guys just start armpit farting.
Yeah.
I think it's a dire sign when like one of the funnier jokes in the episode is just a stupid fart joke. This is a pretty funny bit to me.
Yeah.
The way they just all start
I
like
think
going
I
at
just
it.
wrote in my notes. Something I am learning with this is I am not immune to fart joke.
Anyway, Sandy goes to sign SpongeBob for the anchor toss, and he wants to not go, but then Tom places a drink on his muscle arm, and SpongeBob can't lift it, so he can't move.
What we get here one of the lines that stuck with me for the weirdest reasons as a kid, where Sandy just walks up to it and she's like, Here it is, the sign-up list, just to herself.
Yeah. Talking to
And then we get
I'm such
like
like
a
Tom's face
minute.
when he like lifts the glass. He looks so like sorry on screen. He just looks so like mischievous. He has like a
Yeah.
glint in his eye.
So supportive.
He knows
work
what
real
he's
He
quick.
knows
doing.
SpongeBob's lying, but he's just here for a good time.
So we get Beta Perch Perkins here. His eyes are very weird.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he gets a hot dog. That's a joke, I think.
Yeah.
But he wants mustard on it.
Anyway, the anchor toss competition, we get probably my favorite like gag in the episode where like the measuring guy like measures out the distance from Orca Man's anchor toss, and like let's see an instant replay, and then the anchor just like lands right on measuring guy.
Yeah,
The
I
downside
wrote
to
down in my
measuring
notes,
guy.
that's a good joke. Quick, snappy, funny punchline. Honestly feels a little weird in season 1, given season 1 kind of has a tendency to draw out its jokes. Like, I feel like in a lot of episodes, they'd just show the whole toss again and end with the second anchor also hitting the guy, which, still a good punchline, but
I mean, the
Yeah.
downside is after this we get like 2 different, much less funny anchor falling on the guy jokes
Yeah.
that are much more drawn out. And I
yeah.
get like rule of threes, but I feel like the rule of threes, the funniest one shouldn't be the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I do think it, escalates, though, with how he tries to get out of the way,
Yeah, that's a
but I
pretty good
do agree that it's a bit drawn out.
it's a escalation, but also makes the joke like even more drawn out when it escalates like that. So it's like
Yeah.
suboptimal, I think. We get a little glimpse of the audience. It's all these weird fucking people armpit farting.
I love that they're all armpit farting.
They're having a
But-
good
oh,
time. They
even
love
like-
SpongeBob.
Joke,
These are such
but-
like I don't even know how to describe these people. The way they're all like identical palette swaps, they don't even look like fish. They're just like finger puppets.
This
Yeah.
is Chaperone foreshadowing.
Mm.
SpongeBob goes to throw his, but he can't because he's actually secretly weak.
Yeah. He
would've
does
guessed?
a funny.
So he like tries to inflate his arms, even though his arms don't really do anything for him. It's his last ditch effort, but then like he inflates them too much and strains too much, and it starts inflating random parts of his body.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We get like
I'm looking at the image Maddie put on screen with his inflated butt, and
Yeah.
I wrote down in my notes, and this is a reference only Randall will understand. I
Uh-huh.
just wrote down, oh, gra.
it's
Oh.
it's a bit of a disgusting sequence. It's even worse seeing it like frame by frame like this.
Yeah. And then his whole body explodes with him screaming horribly.
And he loses his arms one final time.
Yeah.
And then Heifer from Rocco's Modern Life comments that he thinks he lost.
Yeah. And then they all cheer for Sandy.
Yeah.
I do like them all switching to Sandy also. I think that's a good
I like
joke.
the guy's like Sandy sign with Sandy's face on it.
Fake fans.
This is how I feel when I see Sandy acting like a character.
So true.
And then Sandy like wordlessly tells him to come along and continue his workout, and we end on a gag where his workout routine is he changes the channel with the
Yeah.
remote. And it's a
This is
really
so-
fucking
Arms fall
lame
off
last
one more
punchline.
time.
It's like a Family Guy shot.
Oh, and his arm falls off one more time.
Yeah.
This episode has such a lame sense of humor.
God. This is such a.
The-
We got through this in like not even half an hour for the first episode with
I-
all the stalling and the shit.
I feel like this is like, in terms of writing, this is the most Fairly Odd Parents SpongeBob episode we've seen so far.
God, yeah. I know what you mean. It's very like running gag based, and they aren't very funny running gags.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode does there is something that interested me about this episode though, which is it got me thinking about how early on there was a lot of this SpongeBob tries to act cool and tough, and I don't think that's really part of his character anymore. Like-
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think to later episodes, like you have Sharks versus Pods in season 9, where he gets with all the cool sharks, but he gets really freaked out when he realizes they may be more unscrupulous than he thinks. And he's not really acting all tough about it. Or later on in the Salty Sponge in season 13, where he softens up the Salty Spittoon when he starts working for them. And
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It feels like later
I
on
don't think
they get more humor out of him like leaning into his like gender nonconformity even a lot like
Mhm.
early on. Even in like season 5, we get like Blackened Sponge, which is all about SpongeBob acting tough. It feels like they lean
And-
more in like the distance of him trying to be something he isn't.
And I mean, that's kind of what the movie was about too. Like SpongeBob trying to prove he's a big tough man and
Yeah.
go on this quest to get all the.
yeah.
But we'll
It
get there
feels
in a
like
year.
That's
At least.
hopeful. That's a hopeful estimate.
Yeah.
So
So what
did
do
we
we all
think?
think of MuscleBob?
This one was it was pretty middle of the road to me. It was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't really mind it. I didn't really care for it. Some jokes made me laugh, some were whatever. Kinda, yeah, I agree. It tried to iterate a lot on jokes that weren't funny, and some of the jokes that were funny got a bit drawn out. But I don't think it's like awful. I think it had moments.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I gave it a 4. It's whatever. It's mid Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of same. Like it's very mid bob. I didn't. A lot of the jokes in it didn't really land with me. You know, as much as they might
Yeah.
have when I was little, and it was just like, oh, haha, funny SpongeBob. Yeah, I gave it a 3. It's it's nothing special. It's not the worst of season 1, but yeah. Gwen.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, this is like the most middle of the road episode. Like, I feel like I've said that before, but this one is just so like, it's just a small handful of jokes repeated over and over that aren't very funny. So just aside from a few moments, it isn't very interesting or compelling a watch. It isn't very entertaining. I
Yeah.
gave it a 3. It's just like a very easy to forget about episode.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, I don't really know what else to add to it. It's mid. It's kind of tedious to watch because of how it only really has like 3 jokes, but it does have some fun incidentals, and I always have that as a point in its favor. I gave it a 4.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like, I think it has a more memorable concept than it knows what to do with. If that
Yeah.
makes like SpongeBob gets fake muscles and tries to act all tough with like I don't know. I think this episode is just sort of done better later on in episodes like No Weenies Allowed and the
Oh yeah.
aforementioned Blackened Sponge.
Yeah.
Blackened Sponge is gonna be so hype.
Yeah.
It's such a good episode. One of those hidden gems. But yeah, Muscle Bob Buff Pants, more like Midsole Bob Buff Pants. And now it is time to talk about a spooky episode. Just
Oh,
in
God.
time for Halloween.
Mm.
Just in time.
Just in time. Time for Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
time
what
for
we're
our
talking
middle
about.
segment.
Are you gonna start talk? You guys are, can I say something? You guys are really bad at talking about the episode. You all just like
Yeah,
you all. I feel like I have
I'm
to do a lot of the work, like saying like, okay, this is what happens in the episode. All of you just like sit
Hold
there and be
on.
like, okay, we're gonna talk
I'm
about the
Hold on.
ghost.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
the ghost.
sorry. I'm just like
We
sometimes I
could
want to talk about what's going on, but I don't know when my turn to talk
We
is because I'm
we
autistic.
could
we need
we could
we need to designate per episode someone to say, "Oh, you lead in the episode. We need to
yeah.
start the episode this way."
I'm sorry,
We
guys.
could we
I
could
was not
retake
cut out
the
for
opening.
podcasting.
We could retake the opening of the episode, just take it from the bubble
Okay, that
transition
sounds
if you
good.
guys want.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
3, 2, 1.
This episode starts with Squidward making a wax statue of himself. He thinks he looks so handsome in his self-portrait. Is this the first episode where we see all of Squidward's self-portraits?
I think it is.
Mm,
Yeah.
I-
You know.
didn't we
Because
have
that's
like
sort of like a running bit with him, but I don't know if it was like did we see that in Naughty Nautical Neighbors? I'm
yeah,
gonna double
yeah.
check.
I
We
think we've
There
seen
was
like some
one.
before, but I think
We've
this
seen
might be the.
some.
Wait, no.
We got like the
Opposite Day.
opposite day had the gallery of Squidward stuff.
I
That's
know
right.
we've seen.
That's
I know
right.
we've seen like the paintings for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know
This is
about
like the first that's it's been
others.
like lore relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, Squidward is kind of an asshole for this, but you gotta love it. Like he like delves into so many different mediums, especially if you look at the like still frame. You can see he has like so much like different styles here.
Yeah.
It's like literally impressive.
The
Like, if he wants to
tree.
do like
Impressive.
ancient pottery and bonsai tending and creating a neon sign of his face, then maybe we should let him.
Yeah.
He-
I didn't even
Yeah.
realize that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Everybody claims he's a bad artist, but like that is a realistic statue of himself made out of
Yeah,
wax.
that's a wax statue of him.
He's got some kind of talent.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
he only uses it to depict himself.
yeah,
So he finishes his wax sculpture, but he gets interrupted by hearing SpongeBob and Patrick playing this absolutely inscrutable game.
I always like loved this part as a kid. This
It's
kind of it's
so
kind of like this
good.
like made up games were like candy to me. I wanted to play this game so bad, even though it didn't have rules. This joke
this
is also
like
like
that one. Go ahead.
there you go.
Okay, this is like that one TikTok of like, was it a TikTok or just like a Twitter video? But
Oh yeah, I think it was the TikTok of the guy being like, "Oh, we knew the
Oh,
counter
that's the-
melody."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this bit is also just literally just Calvin Ball from Calvin and Hobbes,
Yeah,
which is also a really good bit. And it's some like nonsense games they make up as they go. Squidward like asks them what they're doing. They're just like, "We don't know."
Yeah.
And then
Patrick's
I
so
win!
excited about losing, but it's not Tuesday. I
And
love it a
then-
lot.
Squidward gives the most.
we get a gracious Squidward bath scene after this.
Yeah, I like how his bath water comes from like the, he doesn't have like a faucet attached to the bath. It's the shower head as well.
And Squidward tells them that their game sucks and they need to find something else to play. And
like,
they
what interest does he have in this?
well, it made his wax
I mean-
sculpture angry, so he
He-
needs to take action.
Yeah, and he's
True.
also just a bitch. He's just a messy bitch who loves drama.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They start playing small plastic disc that you toss, but with a seashell. Which is, when you think about it, they're kind of just throwing around a bird corpse, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could see the shell there on the ground while they were playing their inscrutable game. So this is sort of a Chekhov's seashell moment.
A bit of a Chekhov's bird corpse.
Yeah. So Squidward treats himself to a nice bubble bath, and you know what? He deserves to. Squidward deserves nice things, and hold on, I'm getting a narc call.
Okay.
Never
What?
mind.
Oh.
Never mind. The
But-
call's not happening, it seems
Okay.
like. I get weird spam calls
Okay,
and
yeah,
shit
yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
time.
Mm.
This
Okay,
bubble
so
bath looks very
Squidward treating
luxurious.
himself.
Yeah, so SpongeBob. So Squidward is busy spoiling himself while SpongeBob and Patrick decide
Lodged
to play.
a seashell into his
Yeah.
brain.
Oh, I really like this painting of Squidward.
That's a good Squidward
That's a really
painting.
good one. I'd like hang that.
Yeah,
His like little hat and everything.
I want that.
And so the seashell flies through the window and it lodges itself in Squidward's brain.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
Squidward
statue.
is dead.
And
And then
so
we get
Patrick and
the-
SpongeBob have to go up the Squidward elevator.
Squidward is gone forever, and he's never coming back.
Can we
I
talk
don't-
about Squidward's elevator?
Yes,
Yes, hold on.
please.
I'm gonna put it on screen. Yeah.
Okay, so this is presumably the side of his house, right?
Wait,
Yeah.
why is there a window?
Yeah, why is
Yeah,
how
I
is
was-
there a window in an
that's what I-
elevator?
How?
That's what I was gonna bring up, because not only is it like the side of his house where his big moai ear would be, elevators don't typically have like windows like this in them, even if because that's gotta move up and down. That's
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
move up and down the house. How does that work?
Squidward's bizarre reality bending elevator that he's
And
known
this-
for having in his
This
house.
isn't even the last episode we're gonna see that. In this episode we're doing.
Anyway, Squidward is dead and has a big brain injury, and Patrick tries doing
Yeah.
CPR.
Mhm.
Which,
They're,
you
This
know,
is our second Patrick Squidward CPR joke.
yeah, it's good continuities. Patrick knows CPR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done
And
this
they're-
before.
way less worried than they should be for potentially launching a shell through their neighbor's brain. Because they don't know this isn't the real Squidward.
Yeah, they sit on his face, and his face looks like a butt-shaped face. So that's a pretty funny visual joke.
Yeah.
Leaving him out in the sun.
Word on screen.
I do like the line that Patrick says, I know a lot about head injuries, believe me.
Me.
I like this part because we get a little bit more like smug Patrick thinking he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think Patrick is adorable in this episode.
This is
honestly.
a very strong Patrick
This
episode.
is a really good
It
Patrick.
really is. I love how he says the Patrick is here
Patrick is
during
here.
this scene.
Anyways, Squidward melts while Patrick
Yeah.
is busy being brain injury.
He's
And
pistachio
then they
ice
freak
cream.
out. A little bit of foreshadowing for
Yeah.
beloved episode Hocus Pocus.
Why is his nose still good?
Oh my god, you're right, because that's another episode where Squidward is mistaken for another thing that involves him melting.
Squidward powders himself while they try to put fake Squidward back together, and it's just not working.
I love SpongeBob just going, "This is working! This is working! This is working!"
It's a little sad when you
As
think
if
about
just-
it.
Saying it's gonna make it true.
Like, for all intents and purposes, they think they killed him.
Yeah.
I like episodes like this in kids shows. They're just like a really dark comedy premise. With oh yeah, we think we killed this guy.
Yeah.
We get another one of those later with the health inspector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Squidward emerges from his bathroom and he's all powdered up and wearing his robe, so he looks a bit like a ghost. And they think he's a ghost.
Can we talk about the absolutely disgusting SpongeBob gas face here that I hate that looks
Yeah.
terrible?
Or it's like
Yeah,
his
I brought up
eyebrows.
his teeth. Why does he look like that?
It's awful.
I-
don't like looking
Wait,
I
at him
feel
like
like
that.
I've seen. Yes, this. I know.
Do
Yes.
you remember? Do you
Yes.
remember the really terrible face from that one book that we looked at like a few episodes
Can
ago?
someone get that?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's
you think
this.
based off of this? Can we compare and contrast real quick because they're both awful?
Yeah, hold on. Let me
Yeah. Let's continue with the episode while we're doing that.
Okay.
Uh,
yeah.
quick just funny joke is when SpongeBob's like, "He's pushing up daisies." Oh, I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I like subverting the S&P note.
Yeah.
And so Squidward's pissed off, his statue is destroyed. But Squidward's not as pissed off as I think he would be here.
Yeah.
Because not only are they breaking into his house, but they destroyed something he's really proud of.
Pretty pissed at them. He's like chewing them out for sure. But then he feels bad because they feel so remorseful, but then he feels evil because he realizes he can take advantage of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think it's-
found the SpongeBob posing question, by the way. Is it this one?
Oh my God.
Yes, but also we need the specific book cover or whatever. But yes, that
Shit,
does
I
seem
wouldn't
to
know
be
what
it.
book that was.
We'll get back to
Yeah.
that as we
We can edit it
continue.
in post if you
Yeah.
feel like doing editing.
Yeah, just leave a note to yourself so you remember.
Yeah.
And so Squidward decides to play a fun joke on them by pretending to be dead. I don't know what Squidward thinks he's getting out of this? Because does he want them to like do things for him?
Yeah, I guess he just like wants to mess with them and also like have things done for him. So we get like them carrying him around, and we get a very confusing Toulouse-Lautrec joke that no child would ever get.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that as a kid, I just kind of appreciated that gag for how weird it was. Even like I barely got it when I watched it this go around because I didn't know who
That is
Toulouse-Lautrec was.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
like a really highbrow joke for like the 5-year-olds watching this show.
Yeah, I
It really is, but I appreciate them going for it.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad they're having fun, these artists.
yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and it's one of the jokes from this episode that stuck with me, even if I didn't get it, because it's just so out there.
It's very like out there and visually striking too.
yeah, like
Yeah.
they have they edited the fish heads onto there, and I
They
think
really
that's
went
like
all
that
out
funny.
for this joke that doesn't make any sense. It barely even like makes sense in context, even if you do get it. It's so forced, but it's like it's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so we learned that SpongeBob is strong in this episode because he's able to help lift Squidward's throne.
Yeah, and the arm cruncher
All
works.
the
You're right.
yeah. All those remote exercises have been paying off.
We get the joke where they feed him some fruits, and Patrick feeds him an entire watermelon fresh from the manure fields.
I worried for a second. Just something happened.
Okay, I have to leave at like 3-ish, so
When is that?
in like an hour.
Okay, we can okay.
Shit.
3, 2, 1, but yeah, so he gets the watermelon from the
And then he becomes Melon Word for a
Yeah.
second, and then we get a really funny Patrick face where he's adorable looking and he's so content.
Yeah,
Is he?
God, he's so like
And Squidward looks like teacher's pet for a second.
he really does, huh?
He really does.
He was born on the wrong end of the leash.
Yeah, he's so adorable. Look at him. How could you be mad at him?
This is like the stupid joke next to the sequence where it's like he wants a pie. Patrick just has a pie. It's like, where did you get that? He's like, I don't know.
Where did you get that? I found it. Well, go find it again.
So good.
And then Patrick leaves for the night to go look for the pie. And then Squidward's messing with SpongeBob.
He gives
Such
him
a
a sheet
bully.
of tissue paper and asks him to play music on it. And this is interesting because later in this season we get the paper, so clearly SpongeBob's been putting in the work.
You
Yeah.
think this is revenge for Squidward making him do
This
that
was the
earlier?
inciting incident.
I do like SpongeBob's like very upset face while he like
It's so good.
stands with the tissue.
And he's there all night.
Patrick comes back with his pie while Squidward is chewing out SpongeBob for sleeping on the job, and Squidward gets mad at him. And Patrick's just having so much fun with this, even though Squidward's being such an asshole. Patrick's like, "This is fun."
Yeah.
And then he orders them to clean out his back room.
I wrote that down because I knew we're gonna have to make some jokes about that. There's actually a pink entity in the back rooms called Patrick.
No,
Yeah,
there
and
is there is a pink entity here actually.
We
And
do.
it's called this thing. What?
Squidward
Like,
with a knife.
He's got a rubber glove on his head.
Pretty sure that's supposed to be a crown.
And then SpongeBob and Patrick are in the back rooms, and we get kind of like a weird joke where Patrick is facing the wrong way.
This is such a like home movies ass joke. And the shot where like Patrick like runs towards the screen is very like also distressing. I think it's just like whenever characters do that.
They say that if you close your eyes right before he approaches you, that is the sensation of death. or however that goes. And then they make
Yeah.
it.
So
Then they make
they
it
go
to.
Yeah,
into
we
this
get the
messy closet, and we
second
get one of the
appearance.
best visual jokes in SpongeBob ever. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
they're wondering how they're gonna clean up all this mess. It's easy.
It's just a wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The joke
you
fucked me
just
up as a
tear
kid.
the wallpaper. It's so ridiculous. I
Mm.
love it.
And
Why
then
would
they get to.
Squidward have that?
Also, why is there just sand behind the wallpaper? Is his house like
Uh,
made of sand too?
is
Maybe
the
this is like his basement or something.
I
I don't know.
guess, yeah.
I think
Oh.
we've figured out that Squidward's house defies reason.
Yeah.
He has an
It's
equally fucked up
window
house.
elevator.
And then they read his famous book that he has in his closet.
Yeah.
That's like 1 page long about the Flying Dutchman's backstory.
I love this because it's when he died, they used his body as a window display.
That would be messed up if it happened in
And
real
just-
Yeah,
life.
it's a
the
morbid
implica-
gag that they kind of just gloss over.
Just the implication that the Flying Dutchman was always green and glowy even
Yeah,
before he
that
became
too.
a ghost.
Anyway, some nice Flying Dutchman lore, and then they figure out they need to put Squidward to rest.
Yeah. As you do.
And this is when Squidward's fun times end, even though he didn't even really have that much fun when he was bossing them around.
He got to
Yeah.
make SpongeBob spin around. That was pretty fun. And we get the classic image.
Okay, get in.
Okay, get in.
And-
This whole sequence feels so morbid. I love it.
I love it. It's so good. I love like all the mourners are having Mr. Krabs being like, "We came as soon as we were sure you were dead."
Yeah, and I don't. Okay, this is probably a pretty specific reference, but do any of you remember Sergey fan-made goth character?
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's all I can think of when I see this particular screen right here
God,
of them
yeah.
all mourning.
God, this must have been really rough for Sergey. Imagine how she must have felt when it turned out he was alive.
Yeah, what's her story? I want to know her story. And I also like SpongeBob's writing on the tombstone of "You may not remember him." Like that's
Yeah, it's so mean. This episode's so mean to Squidward. It's so good.
Yeah.
When he finally like gives up the bit, he takes off his hat and SpongeBob's like the fake out where he's like, "You're bald."
Yeah, you could say he gives up the ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not bald, I'm alive.
Everyone just leaves, including
So
the
I'm
anchovy
curious about
piano
the
movers.
mourners, because, like, do all these people know Squidward? How much does
I-
Sandy know Squidward?
Well, they talked in Nature Pants and the Halloween party. They're acquaintances, I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah, he didn't. I mean, the Halloween party is after this. It's the next. It's in 2
Oh, yeah.
episodes.
That's
True.
true. Maybe
We
they got to
define
know
I
each
feel
other
like
more after this.
that's sort of a character dynamic that should be explored more. Like,
Yeah.
the only Sandy Squidward episode I can think of is one of our favorite defense episodes.
And
So the
so,
episode could
yeah.
like end here, but instead we get like a little bit with SpongeBob wanting to. He just thinks Squidward is deep in denial.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
then we
felt
get-
this ending was a little weird personally. It kind of felt like
It feels like unnecessary. It also feels like exactly the same ending that Bubble Stand had.
Mhm.
yeah. It sort of reminds me of some of the episodes in like season 9B, which kind of feel like they end a few times
Yeah.
to do this weird gag. Like, so I don't know how I feel about this ending, but I guess it's fine.
Yeah, this is what I confused Bubble Stands ending with when I first
Yeah.
saw it again.
Mhm. It's like slightly different spins on the same joke of Squidward bubble mishap.
At least there was no house destruction this time.
Yeah, his house makes it out all right, aside from
The
Some
wallpaper.
questionable interior design choices. Alright,
Alright.
so how do we all feel
Yeah.
about Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost?
Yeah,
I think this is a good one.
this is a
I
good
liked
one.
it.
What did we
What'd
give
you
it?
give it? Yeah.
I gave it a 5. I think it's an interesting episode because I think it has some really good jokes throughout, but I think it's paced a little awkwardly, and I think like the whole setup can feel a little contrived sometimes, but like I
Mm-hmm.
still think it's good. I had fun with this one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It part of me feels like this one had sort of the potential to be an all-time great, but didn't quite play its cards right. But
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
again, I still like it. It's
Yeah.
good. I just think it could have been great in another timeline. But oh well.
Mhm.
Maddie?
It was very, very good to me. I give it a 6 out of 7. I just everything lands. Like, sure, it ends twice, so it's not perfect. You know? Kinda like, you know, there's a few bits, but most like I love the background art in this episode. Like all the
Oh yeah.
details and like the funny visual gags with like the Flying Dutchman and the mourners and the just everything lands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, 6 out of 7.
I gave this one a 5 as well. I thought it had a lot of very strong jokes. I liked the general, like, probably morbid setup. I just think, like, the pacing is a little weird and, like, a little, like, flimsy plot-wise, which isn't, like, that big a problem. It stops it from being, like, a super, like, high-ranking episode for me. It's, like, it's very solid and very entertaining, but it's not, like, much more than that, is my
Mhm.
general opinion on it.
Mm. I I originally gave it a 6, but I think I'm gonna pedal it back to a 5. I think it's a good episode for sure. One of those that you remember fondly as a kid, but not one of those that you remember being like an all-time favorite of yours.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some solid jokes, some solid visual gags, just a pretty good time all around, I think.
The bubbles.
Yeah, the real name.
We need them.
It's time for our third episode of 4 in this episode. It's time to talk about the Chaperone, where I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about.
I mean,
Hopefully
it's
not.
the first Pearl focus episode.
Welcome to
Yeah,
the
we're gonna
welcome
get
to
some Pearl lore.
welcome to the
So
first
it starts with
episode.
the
That can also
Krusty
double as a
Krab.
middle segment. Sorry.
We start at the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob's making Krabby Patty, but what's this? Pearl is sad.
Mhm.
When Pearl is sad and crying really loudly,
What the
when does
fuck?
this happen?
What a turn of events. I will
Anyway,
say.
she cries, and then we get to see the part of the episode we all talk about the Krusty Krab is filled with friends in this episode.
Like only Fred.
All of the
Every
background fish are just like
incidental
Fred in various shades of
Krab
green.
is Fred. They're all
We, okay. Now let's really get into this. Is this a fuck up? Did they fuck this up? And it's
Yeah, like the animators, like for some reason, like just thought they had to just use one incidental here, or what? The storyboard artists only feel like drawing one fish that day.
Oh, they won't notice.
like they don't even give them like different clothes or anything.
No.
It's all just literally. It's like a nightmare. It's just like a nightmare that someone.
It's so
I think
dreamlike.
I
Like
think
they're consistent
think
about this
it's
because the friends like keep showing up throughout the scene.
I like the
yeah, not like just one shot. Like you need to get the earlier shot with like
mean,
the 7 friends.
where
And here's the thing:
The friends just like
let-
lying
let
around
me-
dead.
later on, when
Let
they
me
like cut
post-
between like all the
let
different
me
cuts,
find
and
my
it's all
screenshot
just
from
I
it's
found it,
all
I
just
found it.
Fred. It's all just Fred taking a
It's
sip
all
of the drink.
Fred.
It's just Fred.
I think
So-
it gets weirder because Fred gets established as like a character later on, so it's a lot
Yeah.
more noticeable that it's all Fred.
This
The
is like
most
this is just like Fred and his identical sextuplets.
and the scary part is none of them talk because you
Yeah.
associate
Yeah.
Fred with like a specific voice line and him being kind of a chatty character, but they're all silent and they all have like the fluoride stare as it all goes.
It's so nightmarish. When you walked into a fast food restaurant, it was just all of these people. They just instantly turn and look at you.
God.
Anyway,
They don't
Pearl
even feel
is
like people.
sad.
They're entities
What?
more than
No
they're
way.
people.
She's sad because her prom date stood her up, and Mr. Krabs is like, "I'll go out with you," and then she's like, "No, that's lame." And she's like, "Squidward will go out with you," and she's like, "No, that's lame." And he's like, "SpongeBob will go out with you," and she's like, "My complexion will look like a planetarium."
I
Well,
mean, I know that she doesn't mean what she's saying either. But what if she's saying
This is probably the worst joke in like the whole season. It doesn't make any sense on any level. She's just like, I don't know. It's like, why did they write this line?
like
I'm
I
telling you,
like
this
Mr.
this
Krabs being an out of touch father. I think out of touch dad Krabs is a good Krabs.
Yeah.
I'm fully
He
convinced that
also
this
asks
episode.
all of the Freds for reference.
This fucking guy's like, date my teenage daughter, and then all these friends just dematerialize one by one.
I'm fully convinced that this episode was just made backwards because like all of the incidentals are Fred, all of the lines, all of the lines in this opener, they kind of feel like what we were talking about with Jellyfish Jam because they don't feel like these characters would be saying these things.
Yeah. We get another very weird joke. SpongeBob like gets signed up to go out with Pearl, but then actually it's his identical dummy.
Yeah, the second episode in a row to have a lifelike doppelganger dummy full another character.
I don't get this joke either. I feel like this is just like the storyboarders realized they were having SpongeBob like just stand around in the scene. Like, hey, what if he was actually a dummy and that's why he was just standing around in this scene?
I think this
But
is
it's
probably the worst runner in any SpongeBob episode. Remember how I said like the first episode felt very Fairly Odd Parents like? I think this one is probably more so.
yeah, this is such a like Cosmo would just have like this identical double that appears throughout the episode. They keep calling back to it, and it's so bad. Yeah, SpongeBob has to go to prom, but he sucks at prom. But Gary gives him a fashion magazine, and then we get a very middling montage.
Can we talk
I
about
think this
the evil
montage is like
dimension?
Hmm.
Yeah, the evil tuxedo gardening dimension.
I think this sequence is cute but not particularly funny. I think
Yeah.
it's funny that like SpongeBob shows the tuxedo.
Yeah, that's like a funny pose.
I-
But otherwise, it's just like
Gestures to the audience.
he showers and he plucks his eyelashes, and that's kind of it.
And then he makes this fucking contraption.
The joke of the episode is he thinks he needs to be tall to be a handsome prom date, and that's
Yeah.
where all of the comedy in this episode comes
Yeah,
from.
welcome to literally the rest of the episode.
We had an episode
It's
about
our-
SpongeBob being bad at grabbing things with his fake arms. Now it's an episode about SpongeBob being bad at walking with his fake legs.
And that's
We even get like the same like bit where like Gary looks at him with his freakish legs and hides like Krabs did in MuscleBob Buffpants.
that silhouette is just Stan Lee SquarePants from like
It's-
that one episode.
Is this?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Is this
This
how
is
the
a
limo
real
looks in Scaredy Pants? Or no, not in
Culture
in
shock.
Culture Shock. Yes, is that how that looked in Culture
Yeah.
Shock? Okay, good.
Where the fuck did
Yeah,
SpongeBob get a limo?
this
You
blo-
know.
By covering these episode blocks together, we're getting a real artificial limb enhancements and life-sized character replicas extravaganza today.
SpongeBob writers had some very particular things on their mind in these episodes.
And then he shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm here to take Pearl to prom." And then we get a long drawn out bit of, "Wow, Pearl's a teenage girl and she's very needy."
This joke isn't even like the thing is this joke isn't very long. It's like I need to go to prom. I need to like eat punch, and then it cuts back, and SpongeBob's like, oh, there's a limo outside. She's like, oh, like they have a
Guys.
long list to make you think it's a very drawn out bit, but it's a very simple bit. Like I don't even know what she's like saying to fill all this time because she doesn't do that much at prom. There isn't that much to do at prom. Okay, what are you freaking out about?
Gosh, women with their demands, am I right?
Oh my god. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Whoa. Whoa, are you fucking
God.
kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh my god!
No fucking way.
No,
Is
fucking
this-
way.
Is this the
No fu-
Genesis?
It's from
And we thought there'd be nothing in this episode to talk about. Are you kidding me? This
There
is where
he
the
is.
poll comes from.
God damn it.
Everything
This-
we're talking about is tangential to this episode. All of the threads, Fool Genesis.
I feel like this episode is just a vehicle to get the fool into the world.
This has suddenly become the most important episode of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Where SpongeBob became truly great.
Okay, so full aside, they get in their limo and it's skidding on the ground because Pearl is a whale and whales are naturally very heavy.
That you might not know this from her other joke that she has every episode. Anyway, back to like the listing. I feel like they like really want to be like, oh, this teenage girl is bratty and demanding, but they could clearly only think of 3 things. So the only 3 things in this episode are they get their picture taken, they get punched, and they dance.
Yeah.
And then Pearl uses her arm shrinking spray on SpongeBob and then they go to take the picture.
Fuck is her arm shrinking spray supposed to be?
What?
I have no clue.
Oh, so bad.
Sorry, when is this?
It's like when they enter the prom and they're like, "Yay, the picture!" And then SpongeBob like puts his hand on her nose and she just like takes out her arm shrinking spray and sprays his arm and it shrinks.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
weird joke.
She just has this.
We
Where did
had
she
an
get
episode
that?
where SpongeBob have big arm, now SpongeBob
This
have
is-
small arm. It all come full circle.
Oh no.
Oh, it's a masterpiece. Anyway, you know you're not believe this, but SpongeBob actually has trouble walking with his big legs, and he
Yeah.
falls over and he makes a mess.
Whoa, and that's humor. That's humor to me as a person. And
Pearl's
then
unimportant friends come with their anchovy boyfriends. I like how all the boys in this. I do like how all the boys in this are just anchovies that go meep.
and then we
yeah,
see
yeah, that's a good runner, I think.
and then we see Bowl Cut Incidental, who we will see as literally every other character in the rest of this episode. Brian Flounder
Yeah.
from math class.
I love the Beatles. Anyway, you would not believe this, but SpongeBob is having trouble with the punch because he's too tall, and he may have lowered himself earlier in the episode, but that isn't funny to do right now. So
Yeah. And then he becomes, as I put in my
Rambo.
notes, Punch Bob.
yeah,
Parentheses, epic.
this part makes me sad because SpongeBob is having fun with dispensing punch. Everyone else is loving it, but Pearl's just being mean to him.
Yeah.
And see, they
Yeah.
really want to make this a big deal of, oh, SpongeBob ruins everything. He only ruins like maybe 2 things in this whole
Yeah,
episode.
this episode like is trying to pretend there's so much Pearl wants to do at prom, but there's not much to do at prom.
No.
And
We
then
get to see Billy Fishkins. I like that he's just a fucking nerd, I guess. It's a
Yeah.
sort of funny joke. He has a funny design. It's I think he should like hang out with Fit Check.
So true.
Anyway, I also hate the stupid joke where SpongeBob's like, "Well, I have the trophy for the dance award," and there's some other bull cut guy's like, "No, give that back."
no, the same bowl cut guy, but he's voiced by Doug Lawrence now.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
it's such a stupid, not funny joke. It pisses me off.
I don't think there's a joke in this episode that actually lands. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. It's like-
Yeah.
I don't know. I like some of the slapstick later on. So SpongeBob starts dancing, but he fucks up and people go flying around. This guy jumps in a trash can for no reason.
Why is there a guy just painting a picture in this auditorium?
Oh, you know.
What else are they gonna? I mean, they already have like a picture taking guy. I feel like this guy's redundant.
I feel like they fully ran out of prom jokes at this point.
There's like no, prom isn't a very funny setting, and it's clear these writers have like not been to prom in decades. They're so out of touch with all this material. And SpongeBob's like, "Oh no, I already broke everything," even though he messed up like 3 things, and then he runs off crying, and all Pearl's friends guilt her for making SpongeBob sad.
Why is there an emotional conflict suddenly?
Hey,
Literally,
episodes that do this.
all Pearl did was like be rightfully mad because her prom was messed up, and then all her friends are like, "You fucking hurt his feelings, Pearl," and then she has to go apologize to him,
Yeah.
and then we get a
Hey.
long scene of SpongeBob gibberish moment.
Yeah, I like that she can understand what he's saying. That's kind of cute. But it's a very unearned scene of her realizing that he's actually not all that bad. I guess this episode. I don't know why of all episodes this one tries to have like an emotional arc.
Yeah.
It can't even have like a comedy arc. And we get the big scene in the episode, which is them doing the sponge.
Yeah, they do the.
I
they
think
do
it's
the
wild that
sponge,
they just had this record already. Like, it's
Yeah.
treated as such a SpongeBob specific thing that nobody else can do and breaks their legs over,
Yeah.
but
Like the episode and the
song
characters,
just
like
exists.
treat this bit as like something that SpongeBob is messing up, but it's everyone else messing up because they can't do the fucking dance for this song that was playing at the prom.
And it's just a montage
Yeah.
of people dying.
Yeah,
There is
well,
a my leg in here,
I
which
do
is
like.
probably from one of the 7 Freds from earlier.
I'd like to think that the bowl cut incidental, because we see him again as like the son of all the Freds, and there's many bowl cut incidentals.
Oh my god. I like some of the jokes here, like the Vulcan incidental, like snapping off his legs and they walk away. That
The
occurs
big-
over like a few cutaways. And there's like some like these two guys run into each other and then their heads and bodies are connected. And that's just weird. And then there's
And
the giant apple, which is of course a classic.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
big
Big
apple.
Apple. New York City.
And then they think everybody loves them, and then they get thrown out, and they're told to by heifer voice teen to go ruin someone else's prom.
I do kind of like this scene just because of how much like carnage and bloodshed there is, but God, the scene doesn't make any logical sense.
No.
Yeah,
Why are they
I
pissed at
think I
them?
feel the same
They
way.
didn't do anything. It's such a poorly put together episode. Anyway, they go to Mr. Krabs' house. And then SpongeBob Pearl's like, thanks for the good night. And Krabs is like, you did good. But actually, it was the dummy the whole time. You may not remember, early in the episode, there was a joke
God.
where SpongeBob had a dummy that looked like him. Well, actually, that came back, and it was actually the dummy the whole time, even though that makes no goddamn fucking sense.
It's
God.
such a weird joke to end on, I think.
It's the worst fucking joke.
Fucking
It's like,
sucks.
doesn't make sense and
my
isn't
God.
funny.
Hey guys, I'm changing my episode score right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're moving up to like a 3, maybe a 4.
No.
Let's just say I gave this episode too much credit.
Alright, so are we all done talking about the events of the episode?
I
Yeah.
think so.
So what do we all
I'm
think?
sticking by this being a 2 for me. It's not very interesting. The sponge sequence I think is kind of fun. But like lots of the stuff that entertained me in this episode was just the weird shit, like the 7 Freds. I think it's notable when that's the most noteworthy thing in the episode to me.
Oh my
Mhm.
god. That's not the most noteworthy thing because we got the Fool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
Which
can tell we were strapped on
automatically-
things to enjoying this episode, given how much we talked about. We spent like 10 minutes on this episode, and most of that was Fred and the Fool.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
our SpongeBob themed middle segment pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, Maddie. say your piece.
Yeah, I after talking about it again, I did not like this episode. It was very you know, like things happened in it. We went places, we went to a place and things happened. I like kind of the character moments with, well, not really actually. I like the incidentals with like I like the schoolboy like uh anchovies. Those are good.
Yeah, the schoolboy anchovies are a good
Yeah.
runner, I think.
I
Yeah.
like that the fool exists now, but oh my god, this is not a good episode.
We had to suffer to get the fool.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think
Uh,
this episode, I don't hate it as much as some of you. I still like gave it a 2, so I still hate
Yeah,
it.
oh, same.
It just had like
I
enough.
don't think it.
It had like barely enough like entertaining parts. Like I liked some of the slapstick, and if I think just like to some extent how like confusing and unfunny it is kind of captivated me enough that all just edges its way into it too. But this episode is really poorly put together. The plot is very flimsy
mhm.
and like feels like it's not aware of how stretched thin it is, and also like I feel like Pearl has like the Meg Family Guy problem where like these writers are clearly just a bunch of adult men who don't know
Yeah.
how to write teenage girls or relate to teenage girls. So she feels
Yeah,
very
and
shallow, and this episode feels very shallow.
honestly, I don't know if Pearl ever gets really fleshed out.
After image.
Like Sandy, Karen, they all get pretty well established later on, but
Hmm.
Pearl, I don't know. I feel like even in later seasons, she doesn't really move past her teen girl stereotypes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know there's like at least 1 or 2 episodes from late Bob about Pearl that I like. I like Ball Girl Pearl from season 9,
Yeah.
but like yeah, she's definitely like probably the weakest main character by a pretty good measure.
And you're the certified goons on the moon expert too.
I am. She's very mid in that episode too.
I originally gave this episode a 2, but now I'm giving it a 1 because talking about it, I realized everything I liked about this episode was in spite of the episode and not good things that the episode did.
Mhm.
Like all the Freds and the repeated bowl cut incidental and the really like terrible plot and how this one is the most Fairly Odd Parents feeling episode, but like really really late Fairly Odd Parents.
Hmm. This could be like a season 9 Fairly Odd Parents episode.
One of the Flash animated ones.
Yeah.
And this is officially a lower rated episode than Jellyfish Jam. Good job, everybody.
God.
That's
Bubble.
alright. Bubble?
Bubble.
Bubble. Okay. I was just curious.
So,
All right.
We're
So
gonna have
that
to get through
episode was
this
kind of
one.
bad. But
Yeah.
good news. This next one's great.
Mm-hmm.
oh. Inch strong, I think.
I think so too. So this episode starts off at the Krusty Krab, and SpongeBob's just next to Squidward going, "Hey Squidward.
Huh?
Hey Squidward. Hey Squidward." Squidward asks if it's Annoy Squidward Day, but that's on the 15th, because today is the day.
It's the Employee of the Month. Noise Squidward Day is such a classic joke.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's so good.
I like how it's marked on the calendar and everything.
Yeah.
And SpongeBob's just so excited because he's like, and I really like what this episode does with him because being Employee of the Month is like the most important thing to him, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode establishes that SpongeBob has been working at the Krusty Krab for like over 2 years now.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind
He
in your
says
like
he's been
timeline
Employee of the
discussion.
Month 26 times in a row. And honestly, I think the wall has even more portraits, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
We're not gonna count them. That's not
Alright,
our
I'm
job.
gonna count them right now.
And
Okay.
in the movie, didn't he say like 300 something consecutive Employee of the Month awards.
This is 43. I just counted.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, SpongeBob is kind of padding his resume here. Anyway, I like this like competitive side to SpongeBob. Like he gets freaked out by like Krabs and Squidward teasing him about it.
And I
But-
do
Yeah.
like how Squidward evolves over the episode, because it starts out like him thinking the whole thing is a sham and not really caring until like SpongeBob goads him on about it later.
Yeah, like usually we get like
Yeah.
Squidward like we get like
What?
SpongeBob being like more naive in how he impacts Squidward, but here SpongeBob is like the antagonist of this episode.
Yeah, he's kind of the villain of this thing. I have that in my notes that Mr. Krabs looks extremely fucked up in this entire
Like,
first
what
scene.
the fuck? Why? Why?
Crab
I-
Chungus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this opening scene and how it sort of contrasts SpongeBob and Squidward's takes on the employee, because SpongeBob's just so excited about it, and Squidward just thinks it's a sham that he does it so they'll work harder for no extra money.
Which
I also
is
want to,
true.
yeah, I want to talk about Frown Digest, because I think that's just such a funny thing for him to be reading.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. Really good.
And Mr. Krabs is like, I don't know, SpongeBob. Maybe Squidward will sneak up on you this month. And then
Yeah,
they're-
like and then SpongeBob like uses this to trick himself into thinking that like Squidward is actually he's actually falling behind Squidward. Very
This
good
is-
like neurosis Bob, competitive Bob, fucked up and evil Bob episode.
this is the
Yeah.
very beginning of SpongeBob's Joker arc.
Mhm.
And I love just how this affects SpongeBob, because he's so passionate about his work and his. So, of course, he'd let something like this get to him.
And you can definitely tell in this episode that, like, despite how much SpongeBob likes Squidward, he definitely looks down on him at work, it seems.
Yeah, like he's acts like so pompous here, and it's so interesting. It like feels a little out of character, but not like breaking his character. Just kind of like bending it to like a whole new like facet that still like makes
Yeah.
sense for it. It's very interesting.
Yeah,
Like, this
that's
is a
sort of a point I'm gonna get into with this episode, which is it bends SpongeBob and even Squidward's characterization a lot, but it builds it up in a way that feels very natural.
It's a very
Yeah.
smartly put together episode. Also, the next scene it takes place in the kitchen. SpongeBob's having trouble flipping a greasy patty. He's freaking out because like he wants to do the best he can. I really like the scene and how it's put together. I think it like does a really good job of like escalating the conflict, showing how Squidward really does not care, but SpongeBob takes it seriously. It's like all backed up by a bunch of really funny jokes, like the like rule of three running joke within the scene of Squidward getting splattered by the fan, and like the brick of lead in SpongeBob's hat.
Brick of lead in SpongeBob's hat is such a good joke. I love how ridiculously committed but honestly this frame of Squidward stepping on the brick of lead is really good. I'm gonna send it.
Oh yeah, let me get that.
Very funny Squidward expression.
So then Squidward's feeling discouraged. He's asking his past employer the most selves. He's confiding
he
in
let the-
himself.
Just how I wrote this down in my notes. How could I let the quality of my work slip so much? I'm surprised mid-2010s Sponge Tubers didn't latch on to that
God,
quote.
yeah, that's so like
Uh.
useful.
Yeah.
If we like played clips, we'd play that clip whenever we got like a mid-bob episode.
We could play that clip for the Chaperone.
Yeah.
And then but then he imagines all of the employee of the month pictures giving him a pep talk, and he realizes what he has to do, which is sabotage Squidward.
Yeah, I love how he convinces himself that Squidward's just pretending he doesn't want the award to sort of sneak up on him.
Mhm.
Ear.
The way he's fully convinced Squidward's out to it's very good. It does a good job just playing up SpongeBob's neuroses and building up his character arc for
Yeah,
this
how, like-
episode.
How suggestible he is. It's a very good SpongeBob character piece for like his worst aspects. I think that's very interesting.
Exactly.
So we get this fun scene of him sneaking into Squidward's house. It isn't like a very funny scene, but it's like pretty like it's just like entertaining. It's well put together.
Yeah.
The joke of him being the pillow is pretty fun. And then of course we get the classic gag where Sorry, I saw a really funny Squidward face.
No, me too. I think we saw the same one.
Yeah. This is utter horror. Really good emote if you
Oh yeah, let me
Potential.
click that for after.
Please.
SpongeBob breaks his alarm clock, but he has a spare alarm clock, and in fact he has a like closet of 100 spare alarm clocks.
I want to know why Squidward has that closet.
Just
This is
in
a
case.
weird joke to me because like this episode is generally like pretty like relatively grounded in how the characters act like rationally. It feels like such a like left field joke to have his alarm clock closet, but it's also a funny joke.
Oh yeah, like I'm not gonna complain about it being here. It just feels a little weird in the episode.
I
love
just
SpongeBob
realized
just, like running
how-
and smashing them all one by one.
Is this his?
Yeah.
Is this his elevator, or is that? Yeah, it is his elevator,
the
but it's really
elevator.
giant in this shot.
God, yeah, what the fuck?
Also, we know that it leads to both his gallery room and his bedroom.
Yeah.
Handle, you were really quiet
We-
there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, that
We
I'm
right.
need
away from my mic.
We need to learn all about the layout of Squidward's house so we can build a life-sized replica right next door.
Good luck. It's worse than the Simpsons house.
I mean, SpongeBob did it.
And then we get
True.
and then we get like
We
the
get
real
like the
inciting incident here.
yeah, the sort of just trash talking. He's being such a smug little bitch. Like I was played about 26 times, and there'll be 27 tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
Squidward like snaps. He decides to start taking this shit seriously and start competing with SpongeBob just to fucking show him because he's acting so smug.
Yeah, and I love this so much. I love just the if I really wanted that award, I could get it with my tentacles tied. That could
that-
be arranged.
He's so brutal. He makes such like fucking faces here. God.
I think this is like
SpongeBob's just like I love how much the characters lose it in this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it escalates very well throughout this whole bit, and then they're just like staring each other down.
yeah, SpongeBob becomes Joker fight in this episode, pretty much. We never see him like this again.
If I can pick it, I mean, this episode reminds me a bit of like Black and Sponge with how it's like SpongeBob ramping up his attitude, but we'll get to that in season 5. I just really like Black and Sponge.
It's a good episode.
If I can take like one weak scene in the episode, I think this like lullaby scene is like a little long and doesn't really have a joke. It doesn't add to the episode because SpongeBob's just like awake in the next scene anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I do kind of like the tension that it has.
It does have some nice tension to it, especially like with them staring each other down. I just feel like it could have like contributed more to the episode.
No, I get that.
Clearly, it's SpongeBob's dummy who fell asleep.
Oh my god, you're so right.
Oh, you're right.
I wrote down in my notes just that, and I was like, you know, has there ever been like an episode of SpongeBob that called back to a joke in the previous episode in the block? Because
Huh.
honestly, I think that could be fun.
Fun
Yeah.
concept. I know it's something some shows have done, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Anyways, then we get to just like the back and forth. We start the back and forth like
Yeah.
trap war. Squidward falls in the hole, but he climbs his way out. Then we get and interrupts the SpongeBob sleeping in his bedroom scene, which is pretty sacrilegious of him.
Yeah.
We always gotta have one of those.
He didn't have one in the Chaperone, and that's why the episode fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Imagine if instead of like
So-
sitting on his couch and complaining to Gary that he doesn't know how to go to prom, he was sitting in his bed. Then that would have been a good episode.
Yeah.
So true.
Anyways, Squidward, I like Squidward like hammer like seals the door shut with words. Is like that ought to hold him all right. And then Big Sponge Chungus.
God.
Sorry, that joke just always reminds me of, the
That'll
joke.
hold him all right.
And then we get a very... I complained about the Chaperones montage. We get a very good montage of, like, very snappy back and forth trapping gags here.
Yeah.
I love the joke with Squidward somehow walked into a bottle and SpongeBob writes loser on it. That's a very solid one.
Yeah.
So good.
And SpongeBob does tie his tentacles behind his back.
Yeah.
Lord.
I don't know if that was, like, intentional, but it sure is something that, like, ends up working out for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, we get the escalation to this is at some point Squidward got tied to an entire pirate ship and SpongeBob got tied to an anchor and they'd call a truce.
Yeah.
I love this scene for how it sort of like acts as sort of a soft reset for the episode.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They escalate
Like-
the stakes so high, but they're smart to like have you go.
Yeah, they keep escalating and escalating, so having this sort of scene too, sort of
Yeah,
wind
like
things down before they wind things back up a lot.
yeah, it
is
gives the episode
really good.
it gives the episode a second to breathe before it really gets into the climax. I feel like if it like went right from the montage to like them fucking up the Krusty Krab, it would have just like felt like a kind of a blur. But here, this like slower part where they like make amends and then like
Yeah.
betray each other.
Why
Yeah,
can't we just make
I love how
amends?
it's like, they're making a little truce. And then immediately we get the sequence where it's like, oh, they've completely lost it.
They
Yeah.
fucking
Gross
hate each
looking
other.
in the
They're all
face.
gross and wrinkly.
Yeah, and this is something I love about the episode, just how it sort of builds up in a way that lets Squidward be super dedicated about getting this award, how SpongeBob gets super mean and petty, and it doesn't really end up feeling out of character.
Yeah.
There's this bit of like writing advice I saw once that was like, think of the things you think your character would never do, and think of what situation it would take to make them do it.
I genuinely think this is like the perfect like Squidward and SpongeBob like conflict because what's more important to SpongeBob than his job? And
Mhm.
like Squidward wanting to one up him because he keeps getting under his skin. I don't know, it just makes sense as a conflict, you know?
Yeah, it's a very good episode. It's very well plotted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd go as far
They-
to say this is probably the most well plotted SpongeBob and Squidward episode.
Yeah. Anyway, we get the actual climax of the episode where they go to the Krusty Krab and they just push Mr. Krabs aside.
I love
This-
Mr. Krabs just being so happy about
Nice.
them.
He's so like, oh, it's so great to see them. Then he like realizes,
Oh no.
and they just the whole scene of them like fucking maniacally cleaning the Krusty Krab. It's more efficient to clean dishes like this, Mr. Krabs. I'm putting my money.
It's such a good climax. Just
It shows how much they just like fucking lost it and how high things have ramped up and everything. Oh god, it's so good.
so good.
Wait, we need to talk about a certain iconic incidental in this episode though before we forget.
I mean, yeah, we're not there yet though.
Okay,
Because
okay.
yeah, they like
Not quite.
it ends with them like making too many Krabby Patties and exploring the Krusty Krab, and a bunch of incidentals come along like, oh look, free Krabby Patties, including one particular incidental very dear to our hearts.
Which one?
It's time to talk about penis anchovy.
I talk about penis
What?
anchovy. The blue guy on the left.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You know the guy with the anchovy with the penis?
son!
I don't. What was the intent behind this design? How is this
Why?
supposed to be anything else?
Yeah. I still think it was meant to be like a belly button kind of thing because that's
But
the only
it's
thing
so
it
low
could be.
down.
It's so like it's on his crotch.
I know,
This doesn't look like an Audi or anything.
Yeah, and its
Yeah.
location makes it look like between the legs is like a sack. It's not very good. I don't like
It's-
it there.
So he's got his penis out.
Maddie, can you give it to the Squidward at the bottom left? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Congrats on your bottom surgery, Squidward.
That's not. Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I think it's just this ends with like a punishment for Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
Because like, I could feel like he doesn't like deserve all this like his restaurant being destroyed, but in the end, this really is kind of his fault because he was the one egging them on earlier.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, like his like one little joke in his like general like wanting to like make SpongeBob overperform led to his restaurant blowing up and his employees going insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
I
kind of has
love
it
this
coming.
episode.
This episode is very, very
Yeah,
good.
Very.
probably one of the best so far, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like, I basically said it already. I love how it escalates. I love how it handles its characters. I think it's well plotted. I think it's funny. Like, I don't know how much of this was just how underwhelmed I was by the chaperone in this episode being like, this is such a polarized episode block, you know?
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, I love this one.
Yeah.
What'd you give it?
So-
I gave it a 7. I think it deserves it.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
such a good SpongeBob Squidward character piece. Managing to push the boundaries of their characters while still making it feel natural. It's just like, mwah. Good episode.
For sure.
Yeah, I gave it a 7 as well. It's just so it's so good. It's up there with pizza. It's like a companion piece to Pizza Delivery almost, where it's just
Mhm.
it's such a good SpongeBob Squidward episode with their dynamic
It's
and
like
just
the mirror of Pizza
yeah.
Delivery, where that's the optimal SpongeBob and Squidward working together episode, and this
Yeah.
is like the SpongeBob Squidward petty rivalry episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way they're both about like Squidward's low work ethic and SpongeBob's high work ethic.
Yeah.
So you gave it. Did you say your score? You said it
Yeah,
was-
7.
All right. I did. I only gave it a 6, but a high 6.
Mhm.
I like. It was a very good episode. I've said like pretty much all of the praise I have for it. It's just incredibly good characterization and well plotted, and brings the characters to, like new heights. I don't know why. It's still like don't really feel like giving this 7. Like it doesn't really like super hit very hard for me. Like it doesn't have like the most jokes of any episode. I guess is the main thing.
Mhm.
And, like it's
Yeah,
entertaining in
I
other
can
ways,
agree
but
with
like
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think what it does with the characters and writing is enough to push it into that tier for me, even if it's not quite the funniest episode of the season.
oh yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. I just for me personally puts it a little bit below top of the line.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mhm.
I also gave this one a 7. I think this is a really standout episode. It's
This is the first
definitely
episode you've given a 7.
it is.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just it's not the biggest joke machine kind of episode for sure, but I just think it's like the strongest in terms of like exploring the SpongeBob and Squidward dynamic in an interesting way.
Mhm.
Because it's just really funny seeing SpongeBob act the way he normally doesn't, and just them really going at each other. It's really fun, I think.
Yeah.
A solid 7 out of 7 for me.
Glad we ended on a high note.
Mm.
Indeed.
Yeah. Really kind of went across the whole quality spectrum in this episode, I feel.
Yeah, we went from like mid to pretty good to scumbob to perfect.
Can I
Yeah.
can I make a request for a future episode?
Yeah.
And I don't think we should do a 4 episode one again.
No, yeah, this was hell.
Probably
okay.
not. Like, I feel like later
Yeah.
on when we
One-
get episodes that are
one
mid as
one
fuck
per
and we don't.
season. I think one
Yeah.
per season.
Yeah. It's a big. I don't know. I had fun. I hope you all enjoyed our very special, very hardworking bonus. We're gonna get employed with a month for working so hard at talking about SpongeBob.
We're gonna
Yeah.
clean so many
Password
dishes.
cast.
Wait,
Before we go, can you please put up the Gotcha Life image? Can you
what?
the
Ask
Gotcha
more.
Life?
That's more.
The ass war cast?
Good night, everybody.
No, not
No.
We
yet.
still need to
Not yet.
mention that we're talking about karate choppers and SB129 next.
Oh right. Yeah.
Yeah,
here we go.
now good night.
No. Oh yeah. Hold on. I gotta put ass
Oh
on
no,
top.
I'm ass war now.
Yeah. Hold on.
Oh, it's gonna be worth it. This is gonna be worth
I'm
it,
working
guys.
on it. I'm working on it. Hold
Oh,
on.
this episode's a mess.
There we go. Yeah.